Okay, welcome back to Inventory Watch. We are a day late and $1 short. I apologize. I was stuck in the airport yesterday. So this is the Inventory Watch for the week ending October 28th. And today is October 30th. So I got some interesting numbers for you. I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about the data, the different data collection from the Arizona MLS, which is where I get my data from because I am a member of the Arizona MLS. Let me make my thing just a little bit smaller. So what I have on the screen here shows the active listings excluding UCB and CCBS. And so what this means, it's important because when I have been saying like, oh, inventory is going up, it includes the active listings and UCB listings, because when I get my supply and demand report from Armless, it includes that UCB listings. But monthly, they put out this other cool chart that excludes these UCB listings. And what UCB listings stands for is that the house is actually under contract with a buyer, but they are accepting backups. So under contract backups is what that stands for. And CCBS means contingent to buyer sale. So that means that this person got a contract on their house and the buyer is waiting to sell their house in order to buy this house. So it can get a little bit complicated with all the alphabet soup we have going on. So from moving forward, my data will now just be tracking active listings only. And I'm going to start excluding the UCB, even though they give me that data that includes it. I kind of feel like this is a better way to track active inventory and just be fresh, active only listings and no alphabet soup attached. So what this basically shows here is that their reporting ends in September. Their reporting doesn't even come out until the middle of the month. So in the middle of October, I got September's charting here. And so it showed that we ended September with 12,003 active listings with no UCBs. So 12,000 is where we ended. So I'd like to show you where we're at today, October 28th. We're basically, well, not today, but from October 28th is when I pulled my numbers of where we ended with fresh active listings at the end of October. So we ended 12,003 and we are here at 15,231 in active inventory. So we went up quite a bit, 3,000 homes, and about 25% increase in active inventory just in the last 4 weeks. So we've seen an astonishing amount of inventory increase over the last 4 weeks of October. And so this number, I've removed the contingent. So like I said, like I've been reporting with those contingent numbers. And so if you've been following Inventory Watch with me, last week, my number said like 17,000, like 500 something. And so you can see this number dropped a little bit, but it still tells the story of the same trend that inventory is increasing, right? So we ended at 12,000 and we've increased to 15,000. So inventory is still increasing here, albeit very, very low. We are still at this super low inventory level, along with low buyer demand. So that has not changed. But you can see our average list price is still $795,000, even though the buyers are buying somewhere around $580,000. But people are still listing pretty high. So let's take a look at new listings. So that was total active inventory. That means our total amount of inventory that's in the market. And then every week we get new listings. And so what this shows, I didn't update that. So this is updated for 10/28. But you can see that month over month that we haven't really gotten a whole bunch of new listings, right? So we're still like, it's about a 1% increase in new listings over September listings, but we're still at like 15,000 listings. So it's a very low amount of listings. And the reason why inventory is going up, obviously it's because buyer demand is low. So not a lot of buyers around the market. let's go into, oh, wait, I'm going the wrong direction. Wait, let's go back. Let's go forward. Let's not go backwards. So sold inventory. So this is the amount of homes that have closed. And so if we compare the same days in September to October, we're actually down 10% October this month. So we've lost every week. If you do inventory watch with me, I tell you, oh, this many buyers left the market. This, 50 buyers exited, 50, 60 buyers this week, 30 buyers, 50 buyers. And so every week I tell you like how many buyers exited the market. This is a great cumulative total because we're at the end of the month to kind of see all those little numbers like turn into one big number of we're down actually 10%. Like we lost 10% of the buyers compared to last month. And what's interesting is that we've seen buyers exit the market. However, home prices went up actually 3%. And that is a symptom of because like inventory is still really low. And so there's still not a lot to choose from for these 4,000 buyers on the market. However, I'm going to show you something which is probably going to turn this number around here in the next 30 to 45 days. So if we look at the number of pending inventory, again, I've kind of updated this to include now that active, that contingent and UCB, the CCB and UCB data. It used to only be straight pendings. So now it includes that CCB data. But we can see that buyer pendings have also decreased quite a bit. And we're starting to see the pending price also come down a little bit as well. So the pending prices have been like up 1 week, down the next week, up 1 week and down the next week. And it's been really hard to gauge this. And so now that we're 4 weeks in, like we have 28 days to look at, it really did show only a 2% decrease in the pending price. So home prices have remained stable in pendings and like gone up a little bit in the closing. So but still, I still think that prices are going to come down because there's more things that are starting to rear up in the market that I'm seeing. So this is that first white graph that I showed you was active listings. This graph that I'm showing you is the number of pendings and UCB, CCB. So this includes all of that data again, like I just said. And so this is how many active buyers were in the market during these months. And so you can see here the trend, right? We kind of start January, active buyers kind of, hit the market in the spring, and we usually peak off around April and May. And then it starts to kind of wind down, right? So we see, as soon as it starts to heat up in June, July, August, like nobody wants to run around and look at houses. And then the holidays come and we kind of like, it happens, right? And so you can see that same trend. So if we start like this one is January, this kind of distribution here. And then if we come to January 2023, it's kind of the same distribution where we come into October, November, December, and it winds down. And the interesting part about this graph is that these black and red lines, the black line is the average price per square foot, and the red line is the median price per square foot. But you can see both of these trend down as buyers exit the market, right? Because around the holidays, it's too hot, the holidays are coming, like buyers trend down, and the price per square foot trends down with it. And this is normal for our market. What's not normal for our market is for this natural buyer wind down to happen. But what's happening here? These numbers are going up. These numbers usually trend down when buyer demand falls. And if we compare buyer demand, in July of 2023, compare it to 2022, they're pretty close, about the same. And then in August last year, we saw buyer demand peak a little bit above July, but we didn't see that this year. We saw buyer demand go down, and September buyer demand go down. And we're about 6,000 buyers September. So this is 667. And if we look at buyer demand in 2022, we were 8,000 buyers. Not 8,000, I'm sorry. That's probably like 6,400, I would say. almost to 7,000 maybe buyers in September of 2022. So looking at this, like, we have less buyers, but why is pricing going up? It doesn't make sense. But if you think about how much lack of inventory we have, it kind of makes sense. But inventory's been slowly rising. Buyer demand has been falling, and it's falling less than it did last year. But we're at this like weird, again, buyer demand's low, inventory's low. And so until we get past that threshold of like active inventory, it has to go up a certain threshold to start seeing these price cuts. And I think I think this number where we're at with this low amount of buyers is actually starting to increase those price cuts. I talked about last week and some of my shorts or my reels or whatever, that I was starting to see price cuts start to trend up. And they were like, 34, 35% of the market had seen price cuts. And that's a little bit above average, right? We usually sit between 25, I think, and 25 and 30%. So seeing 34% price cuts was like slowly starting to pick up. But what I'm going to show you next is a drastic change since then. This is the number of pendings. We talked about that. I'm going in the wrong direction again. So I'm going to get to the price cuts. We'll skip that one. Okay. So why I think we're going to start seeing going, I think we've hit that level is that buyer demand is low and inventory has been increasing. And I think we finally hit that level where we're going to start seeing prices, not go up anymore. They're going to flatten out and then they're going to come down, because what we're seeing here is I just pulled a random sample of homes that started their listing price at $450,000 in Maricopa County. And I'll move my little face here, and we can kind of see is like what we're seeing is huge price reductions. So all of these homes that you see on the screen here, this one in Wickenburg started at $450,000. It's had a $70,000 price cut. This one here in Phoenix had a $65,000 price cut, right? Started at $450,000. This one here had a $55,000 price cut, and this one's in Glendale, and so it's under $400,000 now. Same thing here, $50,000 price cut. Let's see what this puts it at, like $40,000 price cut, $35,000 price cut. So like huge price cuts from $35,000 to $70,000 off of these listings. And same thing. So that puts it at, there was 37 out of the 77 active listings that started, their original price started at $450,000. 37 of them had a price reduction, and that's 48% of the listings. Same thing with home prices in the 400,000s. I checked that real quick. Of the 75 active listings, 35 of them had a price reduction, and that's a 46% price reduction number of homes that started at 400,000 and they're now like price reduced. So that is an incredibly high number. Almost 50% of the homes that listed took a price cut, just in the past couple weeks. So that's a huge flag that we've hit that threshold and buyer demand is low and inventory is going in the opposite direction. Again, I've been saying that when inventory starts to rise and demand starts to fall, we have that divergence, and it's only a matter of time when we're going to hit that level. And I think we finally hit it because price reductions have kind of been dancing around that 30% mark, and now we've just hit it. And so I think that will put a stop to the increase in pricing. It should, but I feel like I've been saying that for a while and it hasn't. So we'll just keep watching it. Let's talk about the rental market, because it's just as interesting as the home for sale market. We're seeing, rental inventory not increasing, like new listings not increasing. We had 3,400 new listings last month in September. We had 3,000 new listings this month in October. But we did see, like, at the beginning of October, like, rental listings, like the active number of listings, like, really increased not because we were getting new listings, but because rental demand fell off a cliff as well. And so we're kind of flat here week over week. We've been kind of hanging around this $7,200, $7,300 mark in total active listings as far as rentals go. And so when we see buyer demand kind of fall off a cliff the way we have, that is going to cause, again, prices to come down. And so the rental market was kind of the first to go. Last week, I think I sounded the alarm, like, hey, rental prices are coming down fast. Like, they're coming down a lot faster than I thought they were. Like, we're seeing huge price reductions, $500 off rent in some locations. And so it's just been wild in the price reductions in the rental market. And so I think it took a little bit longer for the housing market to follow, but it is following suit. We've seen rents come down just in the last month. September rents were $23.51. This month, we're at $22.80 for the average sold price. And that's going to go down even more because when we look at the pendings, let's talk about this in a minute. But when we look at the pendings, we saw the pending prices come down $22.94 in September to October. Pendings were $21.59. So when these ones actually close, it's gonna bring rents down again. So, and you can see rental demand just like totally falling off a cliff. Like we're down to like a couple hundred people a week, like looking at rentals. But let's talk about these price reductions in the rental market. So this was something I brought up last week, talking about, big institutional investors that had their properties on the market that they had like done some huge price reductions on, like $400, $500. And you can see that this is a list that I just pulled, again, a random sample. And I just put in like, hey, give me all the listings that started at $2,200 a month and tell me where they're at now, right? And so this one in Maricopa was $1,700 a month. Again, Maricopa, or it's $1,700 now. It was $2,200. So that's a $500 price reduction. Again, this one's at $1,729, $1,750, $1,769. All of these homes started at $2,200. So, and they just range from 17 to 2,000 now. And so you can get anywhere from a $200 to a $500 discount on rents right now, which is crazy. And I think we're seeing the same thing in apartment complexes. And I talked about it again last week where we saw they're doing all these move-in specials, 8 weeks free. I saw one from Mark Taylor that is offering 8 weeks free. That's 2 months of free rent that you can get right now, which 6 months ago, you couldn't get it. Like they were like, nah, you're paying full price. And now you're getting all of these crazy discounts and deals. So keep an eye on the rental market. If you're currently renting and you're thinking about renewing your lease, take a look around. You have options now. And you didn't have those 6 months ago. The one thing that I want to note here is that look at these addresses, right? This is City of Maricopa, Avondale, Santan Valley, Maricopa, Santan Valley. And I did allude to this last week that, this is the same thing that happened when the housing market crashed in 2008. All of the properties in Santan Valley and Maricopa, Wayfar, like Apache Junction, Avondale, Goodyear, Buckeye, all of those home prices, they were the first to crash. They were the first to come down in with all those price reductions, because guess what? When stuff gets expensive, you don't want to live out. You don't want to live an hour and 10 minutes from your job. Like when you're stuck in rush hour, like it could take you an hour from Santan Valley, into Phoenix or into North Scottsdale, where a lot of people work. And people don't want to do those drives. And so like it's because it costs gas is expensive now, wear and tear on your car, replacing tires, doing all the things. As the price of food and everything goes up, there's like less money for that kind of thing. And so what we saw, this same exact thing happen where like people were like, I'm not going to re-rent way out there. I'm going to look closer to my job. And so they're willing to pay $200 or $300 more a month, get away from the outskirts and go rent something closer to their job. And so that's what happened last time, where like people were like, I'm not going to pay for this house. They were just let it foreclose. Like, it was crazy. Anyway, but we're seeing the same thing starting to happen in the rental market. And so the rental market is the one being affected the most here. Housing market still super low inventory, but I think that's definitely been starting to change. We've been seeing inventory growing over the last like 8 weeks, and we're going to hit that threshold eventually where the divergence is big enough, and we're starting to see those bigger numbers and price reductions start to happen. So I think that it's going to stave off. Now, what I didn't talk about on that this one, what we didn't talk about here was looking at 2024 and how is that, because that divergence, it always resets in January, right? So we have like, right now we have buyers, I don't know which way to do this. We have buyers going down, right? But, usually buyers come back to the market in January. And so what we see going this way, as soon as January resets, like buyers usually come back up this way. And if we don't get any new listings, that's going to hold prices. And we may not see, like, if we do start to see prices come down, it may not last, is what I'm saying. It just all is going to depend on how we open January 2024. We opened 2023 with about, 7,500 buyers in the market. These are pending buyers. So these were the active now buyers. We opened 2022 with just over 10,000 active buyers. So I don't quite think we're going to have 8,000 active buyers, but so that's the number to watch. Like, that's going to tell the sign of like where 2024 is going to start. If we start with less than this, like 7,800 buyer mark in 2024, it's going to be a gloomy spring for home sellers. But if we do open more, if for some reason we get to January and interest rates come down, like home prices are not going to come down. We just don't have enough inventory for it. So until we see like a massive amount of inventory, I still don't see prices coming down that much. Well, I think they will turn sharply coming into November. I think this will slow down, and I think December we'll see this dip again. But depending on what happens in January, where interest rates going to be, where is the job market and all of that economic sentiment, where is that going to be in January? Hard to tell. So that's kind of the buyer market. The rental market is definitely doing a thing. People are not renting. There's no demand for it. There might be more in the spring. Again, I think there's a story to tell on how we open the spring rental market as well. Like, where are we going to open with rents in January is also going to be a big thing, because like nobody wants to move in the summer. Everybody puts their stuff under contract, in the spring. So anyway, let's see. Let's just make sure we don't have any more pendings. We saw rents come down, rental price reductions. We talked about that. Oh, I feel like that's the same thing. If you found any of this valuable and these insights are valuable to you, please hit subscribe, hit the like button on this video. Tell Google you really enjoyed this. And I appreciate you guys for watching. I will see you next week, hopefully on time. I usually release Inventory Watch every single Sunday. I will see you guys next week.